I did an initial recording and I ran out of disk space on my phone, so I just freed it up. Just a little technical side note. I like my videos going to the cloud so that I can delete them, but they're saved. I'm a little bit nervous. I have some anxiety, and part of the reason I have anxiety is because I am aware of what humans are. Yesterday I talked about, my video says don't punch a Nazi, and I talked about how I started to learn what humans are by around the age of 5. Basically, humans are these creatures that are very irrational, very unreasonable, and we also have an education system that doesn't help. It basically teaches you to memorize words and treat them as truth and regurgitate them for tests. They don't teach you how to actually be creative, innovative people who can gain an understanding of facts. They just want you to be able to repeat the facts. That's the education system, and it's also our mainstream media, and so that's the nature of humans. Basically, there's the story of the 3 blind men and the elephant, where each blind man touches a different part of the elephant. One touches the trunk, one touches the foot, another touches the tail. And they talk about it afterwards, and they disagree with each other about what they're actually touching, and it's because they each had some facts, but the whole truth was different. And that's the way human beings are, is that especially if they aren't taught to try to understand the truth, they will cling to their facts, and they will be divided they will be divided because of their inability and unwillingness to seek the truth and to understand the truth. And that's what we have today. I shared a post on Facebook basically saying I support Donald Trump, and I'm glad. And then I shared the post of his infrastructure speech. It was just an edited version. I also, underneath it, shared the whole version. I listened to both of them, and I think he said some good things. One of the most important things that he said is that that basically there's 2 sides to blame on what happened in Charlottesville, and it needs to be said. The people in the mainstream media who have been shaped by the education system, who believe that Nazis and KKK, people who have those symbols, and basically anyone even close to them are willing to defend their right to free speech, are somehow evil, and that anyone who stands up against them are heroes. That's the narrative that's preached, but it's not the whole truth. The whole truth is different. Like, for example, the people who actually were violent against the alt-right, who consist of more than just racist and Jew haters and black people haters and whatnot, and white people lovers. There were other people. But the ones who were up against the alt-right, they consisted of a lot of Antifa or anti-First Amendment people who are willing to commit violence against others, who have propagated the phrase "punch a Nazi," and who basically want communism to emerge. They want to control your speech, and the way they control your speech is through this idea of political correctness. They control the media. The communists do. They want the people who like welfare systems and taxation and the citizens' dependence upon the government. They advocate for all of those things, and that's why they're in bed with Democrats in general. But the communists are not the greatest people in the world. Under Stalin, there was more people who died than the Jews, and under Hitler. And so you basically have the evil communists and the evil Nazis, if you want to frame it that way. But the truth is that these are people who are behind a symbol, and they haven't necessarily perpetrated the same evils as Stalin and Hitler. But you have to realize that there's evil symbols. There's symbols that represent evil being used on both sides, but the narrative and the propagated by the communist in control of the media and the communist in control of the education system is that if you are a Nazi, then you are evil, and if you are against a Nazi, then you are the hero, right? Villains and heroes. And the truth is a lot more complex. So, I shared my post. I said I was glad to have a president willing to speak the truth, and it takes courage to speak the truth. And I believe the truth is important. But it's dangerous because there's so many people who have their minds controlled because of the education system, because of the mainstream media, because of the, education system all the way through from the ground up. And so, to tell a little story about one of my friends on Facebook who responded, he responded to my post. He said, "Come on, dude." His name's Jeffrey. And so Jeffrey said, "Come on, dude." We go back, I think, to third grade. And in third grade, him and his cousin and I got in a little tussle because I said, basically, my aunt had told me that don't hit people, and if they do hit you, you better hit them back. A lot of people disagree with what she had to say, but so I basically was telling Jeffrey, I said, "You won't hit me," and he hit me, and so I hit him back. We got in trouble. Jeffrey and I ended up doing track together. I played football my last year in high school. We played football together. We got along well, and obviously he's my friend on Facebook. He knows my heart. He knows that's what he told me. He said he knows my heart. And so he also kind of warns me about, saying certain things. And I remember at one point, it may have been in middle school or high school, he's black, and so black guys were all using the N-word, and I thought that I was their friend. I thought that I was part of their people, and so I chose to use the N-word. There's silence after I use that N-word, and they basically say, "You can't use that word." And so I said I won't, and I said I wouldn't use the word, and actually there's been a handful of occasions where I've told other white people, where it's just me and other white people, I said, "You shouldn't use that word." And so, it's a symbol. I think my love and compassion of, Jeffrey and basically other black friends, they, leads me to do things like that because that symbol hurts them. But at this point in time, I really do have to speak about the truth, right? I'm not going to use that word, and I encourage people not to use it, but the question is should you punch people who use that word? And I don't think so. You shouldn't initiate violence against people who use symbols that hurt you. And I'm not going to say you shouldn't be hurt. Everybody's going to react differently to different symbols. There's different meaning behind them. I mean, obviously, there's a bunch of prerequisites for you to feel offended about a symbol, but and you've been taught to be offended about the symbol. I mean, that's the education system has done. That's probably the culture in the family. But the idea that you're going to initiate violence against someone who uses that symbol is wrong. I remember another story where I was in the back of the bus, me, another white guy, a whole bunch of black guys, and the black guys were picking on the other white boy, and I guess through my powers of osmosis and responding to peer pressure, I was able to avoid being the target of black people pulling my hair in the back of the bus. But this boy, he got really upset, and they were pulling out his hair, like really, they were pulling it out of his head, and he called them the N-word, and they all got really mad and said, "We're going to get you." And so what happened was that there was a little period of recess, and during that period of recess, when no one was watching, I think it's third grade again, about 10 or more black people jumped this white boy and were kicking him and punching him. I witnessed this. The white boy ended up leaving the school. He got out of the school system, and the thing is that the way he was treated before he used the N-word, the way he was treated after he used the N-word, just increased his hatred toward black people. I've experienced something similar with Native American people in New Mexico. I'm not going to tell that story today, but it doesn't help. It doesn't help the situation whenever a group of people are willing to do an injustice, to initiate violence against someone who has a different skin color because of symbols or for whatever reason. That is hate, and people try to ignore the fact that the white man or the white people can be the subject of hate, and that's the truth. Nobody wants to talk about the truth, and so my hope is that and I might be naive, right? I admit that's a theme in my life, as I have been naive many times. My hope is that, people will actually attempt to understand the truth and will stand up for what's right, have that courage. And so what would be best what would be that best in this situation is if Jews and black people would stand up for the truth. And the truth is that you should not initiate violence. This is what Dr. Martin Luther King did. This is why he became popular, is because he encouraged people not to initiate violence. He actually encouraged people not to even respond with violence. That's even one step up. I'm not saying that when people are violent against you, defend yourself, especially if your life is threatened. But Gandhi, Martin Luther King, they would take a beating and they wouldn't even respond, and they'd try to keep hatred out of their heart even then. I'm not saying that's the right way, but I'm saying that that's the right direction. And we're at a moment in our history where the white man who stands up for what is right, I think that's me, is in a little bit of a dangerous territory. And so I do ask for your help. My black friends, my friends who are Jews, you need to condemn violence against these people who hate you. You need to condemn the initiation of violence against these people who hate you. And to just quote, I quoted someone yesterday, it was a little funny, but today I'm going to quote Voltaire. Voltaire said, "I may not agree with that which you have to say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it." And my hope is that there are black people and Jews who understand the power of that quote, who understand the power of the First Amendment, who understand the consequences of getting rid of the First Amendment, and understand the beauty of the First Amendment and being able to actually have a peaceful conversation with people who have these wrong views. And that's what it is. There's people who have these wrong views. So my other hope is that people who have right views will get more attention in the media. And so that's the reason I have to create these videos. That's the reason I have to respond on Facebook, is because someone, maybe everyone who has love, kindness, who appreciates truth and wisdom, they need to take part in this. They need to stand up for what is right. And so that's what I'm doing. And if you decide to help, I really appreciate it.